Welcome to another episode of Municipal Focus. My name is Kevin Tocci. I will be your host for this edition. What do we use this program for? Well, we use it for an avenue to talk about government, talk about elections, talk with people who are in government, who are seeking an office. Today, we have someone who is a return guest, as she was successful during the September primary for Governor's Council. We have Tamisha Civil is joining us as a guest. Tamisha, welcome back to Municipal Focus.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Kevin, and good morning to everyone who is tuning in today.
So let's remind folks, first off, a little bit about yourself. And then also, while you're doing that, let's also tell folks what the Governor's Council, what their mission is, or what it is that they do that is essential.
Absolutely. So Governor's Council, they nominate judicial appointees. If you are an attorney, you can apply to become a judge. They nominate parole board members, clerk magistrates, notary public, justice of the peace. They do commutations, they do pardons, industrial accidents, and any other judicial positions that's within our Commonwealth. A little bit about me is that I have a master's degree from Northeastern University in criminal justice and leadership. I started my career with the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office in the major felony unit as a victim witness advocate, where I would help victims that have been impacted by any crime they're a part of, and I would navigate them through the criminal justice system. I would prepare them for a grand jury. I would prepare them for having testimonies or going to trial or for a bench trial. I would prepare them to come in and speak with police officers and the attorneys who will be prosecuting perpetrators. So, for example, I would work with seniors, those who have been financially exploited have been financially exploited by, say, power of attorneys, even attorneys who take advantage of seniors just to hear cases for them when they don't know that they really don't have a shot at the case, or just making sure that no one is taking advantage of them. And we would bring the perpetrator to the forefront and make sure that they're held accountable. And then I went off to become a legal advocate for a domestic violence homeless shelter, where I help women and children impacted by domestic violence, making sure that they are getting their housing, making sure that they are going to get a restraining order, explaining what a restraining order, and even assisting them when they go to court. And my career now is I'm an associate probation officer out of the trial court for the Massachusetts, where I help people get resources for mental health, substance addiction, and making sure that they're following the conditions that is set by a judge. I have about 40 plus cases, and I just make sure that those people that I'm supervising into the community, one, are not reoffending, two, that I'm helping them appropriately to get into treatment programs that they need, and following up with their doctors, following up with them, making sure that they're able to become contributing members into society, which is very important. And I've been in the criminal justice system, working for the trial court within my career for the last decade, alongside of judges, police officers, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and clerk magistrates. Those are all individuals within the court system that makes it run. And I work side by side with judges, providing them records, providing any information that they need to make a decision on someone's life. And we know that I've seen the good side and the bad side, where my cousin spent 27 years in prison for a crime he did not commit in the city of Boston and was exonerated from those charges in 2021. So I made it a vow to make sure that no one in our district or community goes through that. But more importantly, that we know it's a people's court and that we need judges who are going to be fair and impartial. And that's why I'm running for Governor's Council.
You have worked extremely hard prior to the September primary and right up until just a couple of weeks from now, the November 5th general election. Again, that doesn't mean that folks aren't going to be able to do early voting, which is going to be in several days. I think it's October 19th, if I'm correct. Um, but have you ever held office previously? Have you ever run for office, or is this your first go around?
No, I've ran for office before twice
Okay.
in 2020 and 2022 against a 30-year incumbent. It was a civil campaign, no pun intended, right? Yeah, I was running because, our community needs people who are going to do the work and not just show up when they need an election or need votes. I ran because I want to make an impact in my district and also those who I'm helping in the community. I have my clients come to me all the time. Tamisha, please don't let the judge put me in jail. I need treatment. If I go into jail, I'll lose my housing. I'll come out even worse and I'll become homeless. And that's how you set people up for failure. And we really need to protect those who need the help, but also we need to hold those accountable who are committing crimes, and that should be able to, if you do the crime, you pay the crime. But there are individuals who are really battling an addiction, and they're not bad people. They're certainly good people, but making wrong choices. They're either not on their medication when it comes to mental health, or they're suppressing their addiction with other drugs, and they need intra inpatient treatment or outpatient treatment, and we need judges to see the sign. And when I ran for state rep, people would come to me, Tamisha, who do I go to talk about the school system? Who do I go to talk about what's going on in the community? And I don't view myself as a politician. I view myself as a public servant. That's how I was raised. And I'm just using my education, my lived experience, and my professional experience to do good for the community, to do good for the district, because we really need to have people in office who will do the work, but not for power. We see how the climate is in our political realm right now. We see how our country's running. And we want to make sure that it's not about power, but it's about making us uh, known to the community that it's a people's court. We need to move forward. We've made a tremendous amount of impact thus far, but let's continue with that. And how we do that, we put people in place that we know that will do the right things for the people.
Well, let's also mention the fact that you have experience within the criminal system. How important do you think that is for the voters to realize that you're somebody who you're there, you see what's going on, you know what's going on, as opposed to anybody else who may have or may be running for this position?
It's very important. Judges have an immense amount of power. They could take your kids away, they can take your land away, they can take your liberty away. And having more than a decade sitting in a courtroom to watch people come in, watch people come out, and watch those who in power make decisions. Some of the decisions are not so good, but there are some decisions that are good, and I'm okay with that. But my job is to make sure that people are being treated fairly, our rights are not being violated, and women are being heard for the first time and not the second time. We need to make sure that our judicial appointees reflect the community as much as experiences. They know what it means to have a family or a loved one that is battling with an addiction. I want them to understand that when a mother or a father, even a partner comes in, even an 18-year-old child who's going through so much as an adolescent or a young adult sees a parent, and I've seen this over and over again, they see their parents impacted by alcohol and they're going into a courtroom asking for a Section 35. It breaks my heart. And then when you hear the judge ask all these series of questions and you're nervous, you're scared. And to me, when someone is asking for help, they need the help. And I view the court as a hospital because people are going to get help from people they know that has the power to make a change or a difference in an individual life. And I just want to make sure that those who encounter the criminal justice system or the legal system, because judges listen to all types of cases. You know, I've worked in veterans court where I refer veterans who serve their country and they need assistance, or they pick up a crime after, or an addiction after they leave serving the country. We need judges to understand that there's a specialty court, which is called Veterans Court, and they will be able to be referred to preserve their record. I've worked in juvenile court where parents need the help, they need the resources, they need the treatment, but their children are taken away. How do we help? How do we close that loophole? And it's by putting people who understand the system and who sees judges every single day work and hand down cases and make decisions on people's lives that can turn it to good or upside down. So it's very important that we take action. For those who are, you know, still in limbo. You know, a lot of people, let's put it out there, Kevin, a lot of people don't know about Governor's Council. And that's why I'm working hard every day to educate folks about Governor's Council. So it's extremely important for people to get out.
And I want to go back to something you had mentioned, Section 35, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but Section 35 is something where a family member goes to the courts because the individual is either struggling with sobriety or addiction and says, please take them into state's custody because they are a danger to themselves
Right.
and they cannot fight the addiction being out on the streets. Is that accurate?
That is very accurate, Kevin. And I tell you all the time, when I sit in that courtroom side by side with judges, some of them are apprehended and some of them aren't, because, you know, there's not enough substantial evidence that the judge views to apprehend this individual. But, you know, we know who we have in our home. We know what we see in the home. And sometimes those who are crying to have individuals they love sectioned, it's hard to hear that, you know, they can't section them because they don't have enough evidence to do that. So we definitely want judges that have experience in working with organizations and those who are impacted with substance abuse or addiction to know the signs and to make sure that we get them nominated. Thank you.
Let's stay on judges, because
Yes.
you and I, yeah, I've been able to learn more about you every time you and I have had conversations, and it's fantastic. But the role of the Governor's Council is to put judges, is to nominate and to put judges in the court systems.
Mhm.
Talk to me about the importance of making sure that the right people are put on the bench and serving the court system and the people aptly, properly.
Absolutely. Great question. So let's think about it, right? You have to be an attorney to become a judge.
Mhm.
And majority of the time, those who are seeking judgeships, they come from corporate attorney backgrounds, right? Corporate attorneys really don't have an understanding what addiction is. They don't have an understanding of the impacts of mental health when you don't take your medication. And oftentimes when we want transparency and ethics to be in the forefront of nominating judicial appointees, we got to think, you know, if I'm an attorney already on the Governor's Council and I'm nominating judicial appointees, chances are that person you nominate, I may go in front of them to hear a case. And, you know, the transparency to me as someone out looking in is not there. So we want to make sure judges are fair and impartial and get to the nitty gritty of what is your background? What is your legal experience? What is your ideology? Where do you stand on certain key issues? Where do you stand on reproductive rights? Where do you stand on the LGBTQ community? Where do you stand in the voice of the people? Where do you stand in working with organizations that helps people with addiction or mental health? Do you have a connection with them? If someone comes before you, will you know to send this individual to the appropriate treatment program based on the relationship that you have established in the community? And for me, I would like our constituents to know who this individual is, how to get access to the public hearing, and get the background that I'm getting and send me questions to ask these individuals. Oftentimes, these information are available, but they're not available to our constituents. They wouldn't even know how to get that information. So for me, that is particularly important for me when we're nominating judicial appointees, vetting them thoroughly, making sure that they represent the community that they're serving, and they understand that it's a people's court. It has to be a people's court, making sure that you're making the right decisions on behalf of the individual, one, the victim, two, the offender, making sure that they're being held accountable, but also putting them into position to be restored and making sure that if they need the treatment, they get the treatment while they're incarcerated. If they're incarcerated, making sure that they are following up with their mental health professional, and then do a review of a status to see if this individual can either be released or be rehabilitated, but also making sure that the victim can move on with their lives as well.
Now, are these appointments, are they lifetime appointments, or could they ever be rescinded by the governor's council if, in fact, there's question of improper, anything that may be done while they're serving on, inappropriate behavior or activities as a member of the judicial system?
Yeah, it's a lifetime appointment, and that's a lot of power to give to an individual for a long time. The retirement age is 70, but there are some that are still able to stay on the bench due to some circumstances. But it is a lifetime appointment, and that's a long time to give someone a power, especially if you really don't know what they're thinking, how they think, what they think about a particular group. So the vetting process is really important. And for me, I would like to have an opportunity to review, these judges, whether it's a yearly or every 2 or 3 years, go back and review the performance of these judicial appointees to make sure that they're being held accountable because it's a lot of power, but also that they are not violating people's rights and making sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, and which is to help people. And I would like to see that. I haven't seen that yet, but given the opportunity to serve as the next governor's council in District 2, that is something I will definitely try to tackle.
There's a little bit of history that could be made on November 5th as well in regards to your candidacy. Share with folks about if you are successful on November 5th, what history, what would be made?
The history that will be made is that there's never been a woman of color in District 2 or in the council in general for 244 years. And, it's not about, color but it's about representation.
Mhm.
Once you open the door for representation, you're able to open the door for others, especially our generation. We want to make sure that we prepare a way and pass the baton on to our next generation, making sure that they have an opportunity, they have a voice, and they have a concern, and their willingness to continue to advocate for those in our community. When there's no representation, we set a lot of people back. We go back 10 or 20 years back because there's no representation, no ideas, no new ideas, and no way to evaluate those criminal laws that have set people or disenfranchised people in so many and for so long in so many ways. So it's important to have representation, not only because of I am a woman of color, but because of my lived experience, because of my education, and also because of my professionalism and my professional experience. I don't believe that I was in this position by accident. I was working in the trial court for so long, but never knew where my position would be because I really wanted to serve the people because of the things that I see in court every single day. When you work 8 hours a day and 40 hours a week alongside of judges, police officers, it just opens up your mind to be one, grateful because, there's things that you see that you don't think that ever could happen to someone, but gives you an opportunity to be grateful for what you have in your life, but also being grateful to be able to be a voice and help others that come into contact within the system.
As we get ready to wrap up our conversation, Um, is there anything we haven't touched upon? Maybe there's things that you're asked while you're out there campaigning that we haven't touched upon that you're like, maybe that might be something to share with a larger audience when I ask these things, or just how folks can find out more about your campaign with just a few weeks left.
Sure. My website is www.tamishacivil.com. And a lot of questions that I've been asked on the campaign trail is, what is Governor's Council? And I want to let people know that on the ballot, it doesn't even say Governor's Council, it says counselor. But my name will be the first on the ballot. And a lot of people tell me, thank you. Thank you for coming out and educating them on Governor's Council. They had no idea. They only see names. And yesterday I went out to Framingham and a woman came up to me, thank you for coming because I got my ballot and I really didn't know who to vote for. Thank you for coming out to me and speaking with me. And that's the thing. People just want to know and they want to be felt heard. And I've been doing my due diligence to make sure people understand what I'm looking to do and what I'm looking to do for the constituents. And people are very appreciative for that because they don't pay attention when it comes to knowing all the offices that are on the ballot and just need a little bit an explanation. So a lot of people are very grateful and thankful that I'm here to speak with them about the Governor's Council and that we have a lot of work to do, especially in our criminal legal system. And I would just encourage everyone to go out. And I also would like to thank uh, people that have endorsed me, like Select Board Member Justin Evans, um, uh, Mary uh, Mary Conley, Marianne Conley. She's school committee member, excuse me, Rosemary Conley, a school committee member that endorsed me as well for Whitman and Hanson school committee member. And I've been endorsed by Senator Lynch. I've been endorsed by Senator Markey, Senator Warren. And we've been making great strides. And I just thank everyone for supporting me and getting the word out there and just making sure that every vote counts and that they come out and vote November 5th for Tamisha Civil.
Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule between, working your day job and also being out there and campaigning. I realize that sometimes time can be that most essential commodity that you don't have while you're out there campaigning. So thank you for joining us here and educating some of the folks here in the greater Brockton area that's a part of the district you're looking to represent.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You got it. We want to thank you for tuning into a program like this. Again, the idea is to do our best to disseminate information about what's going on, whether it's local government, county government, state government, candidates running for office, maybe a particular issue that folks are curious about and want more information about. That's what we do here. We thank you for tuning into Municipal Focus, and until our next conversation, have a great day.